Hello, everyone around the world. I'm Heringer, and for me, architecture is a tool to improve lives. Unfortunately, also the opposite is true. Architecture can destroy lives, and we know we use a lot of resources, and but I really believe that we human beings can do better than we do now, and we can do this in harmony with nature, and we can build up buildings while we also can build up a just society. And that's what I'm interested in. There are a lot of resources given by nature for free, and all we need is our sensitivity to see these resources and our creativity to use them. So this picture shows a city in Yemen, the city of Shibam. It's called the Manhattan of the desert. So this is all mud skyscrapers that have been built 500 years ago. So if this was possible that long ago, we should be able, with all the technology that we have available and all the knowledge that we have globally, we should be able to use these traditional and local materials such as earth also for today in a contemporary way. When I was 19 years old, I spent 1 year in Bangladesh learning from a NGO, a Bangladeshi NGO called Deepshika. And I was just a development learner about rural development. And what I learned there is that the most effective strategy for resilience and for really sustainable development is to look at the resources you have directly available, readily available, given by nature, and try to make the best out of it and not getting dependent on external factors. And this is what I tried to use later on. The same strategy I tried to apply onto architecture when I then was doing my diploma degree. So as my diploma, I designed the Mete school that was realized together with Ike Roswak in Bangladesh, in the village I had spent quite some time before. And it's a load-bearing earth structure and bamboo, and all the mud, of course, is coming from, and the materials are coming from the direct surrounding. So for me, local materials are essential whenever I start any project, to really base the structure on those local materials and on local energy sources. So when we think of energy, we always think of solar, of wind, and so on, but we also have a human energy. And I really believe it's very important that we use this growing source of energy, because otherwise we create a social problem. Everyone on this planet, no matter if it's here in Europe or in Africa and Asia, wants to be needed. It's a very humane notion. It's an essential need. And on top of the local materials and the local energy, I think, on top of this should come the global knowledge. So the knowledge should not be limited. And we see this right now with the masterclass, through internet, we can access those knowledge. And that's very important. But what's important is that we take the best of ideas that we get around and then apply it onto the local conditions. So this is my strategy that I'm using if I'm building the global south or north or wherever. So this is the Mete school after 6 months of construction. In Rutepur, the Bangladeshi village, is really load-bearing earth walls. There is no cement in the walls, only in the foundation, and then a bamboo, a kind of light and airy bamboo floor that's kind of also power processable for education. That's the tradition in Bangladesh, to sit on the ground floor, and we kept this tradition. So this is the classroom, very multifunctional, and through this bolt hall in the back wall, we come to the caves area. And the brief of the client was to design a school where children feel well at. And I was trying to remember the spaces that I liked when I was a kid. And I think a kid in Germany is not so much different to a kid in Africa or a kid in Asia. I think, these are very archaic patterns, like this feeling of protection and, embrace, but still having the possibility to have a full overview of what's going on. So what they can do, they're still part of the class, but for example, when some are faster with finishing the task, instead of, making pressure on the other kids to also be faster and finish the task, they can just grab a book and be in the caves and do some reading and some work on their own. Or caves are also used for meditating and of course for playing. And that's the classroom on the top floor, which has more the treehouse kind of feeling. And the children all signed with the names at the doors in Bengali, and they rightfully did so because they also helped building the school. And that's the wonderful thing about this material, mud and earth. You can shape it by using only your hands. You don't need tools that can harm you and can cause some accidents. So this is an extremely inclusive material. So we have people working with us, people with disabilities, very elderly people, of course, men, women, and the future users, the kids. And I think you can all imagine how it feels when you're standing after 6 months in front of that school building and you know that you built this school just using your hands, your own muscles, and the dirt beneath your feet. And you don't need anything else to create something beautiful. And that just gives an enormous boost of confidence in your own resources, in your own potentials, in the team and the community, and of course also in the local materials. That is very important because, as you know, mud and bamboo and these local materials have a very bad image and are not regarded as being durable. In fact, nothing on this planet is durable. And if we really want to build sustainably, if we really want to build in harmony with nature, we have to also accept decay. We have to accept death, because death is part of nature. And I think what's very important is, we build the concrete and steel and whatsoever, but also these buildings are getting down one day. And I think the core problem of sustainability is the fear that we have. And out of fear, we try to build with more resources than needed. We pump in more steel and concrete in foundations and walls, and we make paints and whatever that are not good for the water systems and so on. So I think what's really essential is to learn to overcome our fear. And in fact, earthen structures can remain a very long time if we regard certain principles and rules, such as a good foundation and a good roof, and then earth walls can stand for a very long time. And it's also the only material, you can take from the ground. You can recycle as often as you want without any loss of quality. You can return it back to nature and grow your garden on top of it, your food on top of it. And it's the only material that can do that. That's why earth is the champion when it comes to sustainable material choice. And in terms of economic sustainability, for me, the most important is always to ask the question, who is getting the profit of building material? Building budget, for example. So when we think of economics, we always think low cost, low cost, low cost. But if the low cost goes into corrugated iron sheets, panels, and concrete, then it's not a good solution. Much more important is who's getting the profit of a building budget. So if I had built the Métis school out of steel and out of concrete, those money would have been lost for the community. But because I could hire people to dig the mud and to build the mud with their own hands, I could create a lot of job opportunities. So to me, in the end, which is much more important, is that the outcome is not just a building, but the outcome is also, the building budget is also a catalyst for local development. And that's the most important thing. I did several other projects in Bangladesh, and that's the latest one, is a center for people with disabilities. And the first building I made very straight, very precise, because I also wanted to prove that you can build in a very precise way with the vernacular or with the local building materials. But with this one, I wanted, to break out of the mold. I wanted this building to dance and, to use the plasticity of the clay. And it's a center for people with disabilities, so I wanted to prove that there's a beauty in it, that we are not all following the norm and the pattern, the normal pattern, but that we break out of the mold and that we have a diversity. So there's a ramp winding up all around the building, kind of dancing up to the first floor. And that's the therapy rooms in the ground floor. The space under the ramp. It's also part of the therapy. You have to move your body when you want to be in the caves and use it in unusual ways. So that's kind of, triggers special movements. The terraces and also the verandas. And this is a tailoring workshop for women in that village, because normally, Bangladesh, there's a lot of textiles made, and normally women have to leave the village and have to go to the certain central textile hubs where they work in the factories, and they have to leave the families, and the conditions there, the living conditions are not really humane. So with this project, we provide job opportunities directly in the village. So for me, when I'm designing, the main key question is always, or is the main thing is always to keep in mind, what if every person on this planet, 7.9 billion people, are taking the same decision, choosing the same material, choosing the same strategy, the same process? How would the world look like? Would there be more justice, or would the resources of this planet be exploited? And I think, the choice of a material is a very essential question in that. With the choice of a building material, I can really direct who is getting the profit of things. And also, when I built here, for example, in Germany, I asked myself also this question. And I firmly believe we don't have the right here in the global north just because we have the money and the availability of resources, that we use more resources than someone in Africa or in Asia or somewhere else in the world. So we have one planet and we are one humankind, and we should only take what is absolutely needed and try to make the best out of the natural resources, and especially those, using those things that leave no waste, but also, the possibilities for future generation to also live on a healthy planet. So this is how I'm building in Germany. This is a project for the diocese Munich-Freising. It's a center for sustainability, Campus St. Michael in Traunstein in Bavaria. And this is a rammed earth structure, so also purely earth walls without cement, only in the foundation, where lots of people who work together for social or ecological sustainable will come together and have a share a workspace and share resources. Of course, in Europe, it's a bit difficult to rotate with water buffaloes as mixing machine as we do in Bangladesh. So we need other tools, but it's still the same material. This is rammed earth, purely earth that is digged up from the ground. But of course, we have more technology to use it, but it's the same quality of walls. That's the nice thing with earth. It's everywhere available, and you can use it in a high-tech mode of construction or in a low-tech, and you can even mix it. So it always depends on the context. If you have lots of people, it doesn't make sense to go high-tech. If you have few people and you have machinery around, then you may use those. So here you see kind of a big rammed earth wall plotter that plots kind of the rammed earth walls that are cut into pieces and then mounted on top of each other to really large structures. This is in Germany, Alnatura Center of Haus Cook and Semmering architects. And this is a project that I like very much. I designed it together with Martin Rauch. It's like the altar for a 1,000-year-old cathedral in Germany, in Worms. And the idea was, it's a little bit symbolic, you see a lot of gold and precious wood and a lot of design in the background. It's a very famous sculptor who did this, Balthasar Neumann. And it's very symbolic to our part of the society. We are in the West, or in Europe, we are not lacking of resources and materiality and information, but we're lacking of good relationships. And that's what I learned in working in Ghana. That's what I learned working in Zimbabwe and in Bangladesh, that you build up communities while you build up structures, and there's so much power in the process of building up architecture. So we decided, or we proposed the community not to bring a beautifully object as an altar, a piece of art, and install it there, but we said we come with the dirt, we come with the mud and the tools, and as a community we come together and build up this structure, this mud. And here you see the community working. And that was a very essential experience. Also, it was quite a hard work. And, there is a lot of non-verbal communication on the site. And you have to, work hand in hand, and you have to pull all in the same direction. And this is really fostering community spirits. And we felt it very much. One woman said, usually as a community, we constantly fight against each other. But with this project, we really had to turn to each other. We had to lean on, and we had to work hand in hand, and we could really feel that it fosters our community. So this is something we have to learn from other parts of the world. So here we brought in, for example, lots of heritage material from the heritage or history of the place, from the Roman Empire, and kids were coming and mixing up the mud. And then, you know, the moment came when we all kind of lifted the formwork, and then we saw the final product. And normally, you know, that's the most exciting moment as an architect, when you see finally the product of your design. But that was in that moment not important, because, you know, it was the community spirit that was even more important than that. And this is how it looks like. And I think it's a very important picture for me, because, you know, it shows also, you know, that earth is the most precious material that we have, because you cannot grow food on gold or on precious stones, you know. But on the earth, the earth can give you food, and it can be a garden, or it can bring you habitat, you know, you can build your house with it. And I think that makes it really the most precious material that we have, and that we share with all of us amongst the globe, and we have to really take care of it. Project in Ghana we did for, or we are currently doing for Don Bosco. This is the master plan that we got on the left side from Ghana. And when you see the reality, you know, you have all these roundish huts, you have square huts, you have very lively and vibrant community spaces. And I don't know why, you know, we all stick with this old colonial patterns of having this grid system, you know, that a school has to look like this, and a building a campus for education has to look just as you see it on the right side, on the left side. And we took this kind of master plan and deformed it in a way that it really represents the culture, the really beautiful culture of this courtyard and this rhythmic of this area in Ghana, close to the border to Togo. So here you see the final design for the campus. So we have a lot of school buildings, you know, in this kind of street. And then we have like hostels and teacher community housing situations for, you know, for the people who actually run the campus and live on the campus. And of course, a lot of agriculture all around. So the first building is right now under construction. This is how I'm designing on a large clay model. So we do it also here in the studio as teams. And this is Katharina Kohlrose, my site manager. So it goes directly from the model, then on the site. You also see Father Nicodemus, who is also helping enormously on the site. And here you see an example how we use technology. So together with Transala, who will also be teaching at the masterclass, you see that, you know, this got simulated, everything. We try to refine the structure in a way that you have comfortable indoor climates with very low tech measurements and thick earth walls, and also walls that can, you know, earth can take the balance, the humidity of the air perfectly. So we are very sure that it will provide a really comfortable quality in the classrooms. And I think you all probably can relate to some mud houses. Mud houses are cool in summer and are warm in winter, and that quality you don't have with industrialized materials such as fired bricks or concrete or steel. So again, the view on the site. It was actually growing pretty fast. It took us 3.5 weeks to come, you know, to build the entire walls for this school. Father John Bosco. Yes, and less concrete, more earth is something that I'm really think we have to keep in mind. We built way too much with concrete, and it's not necessary. Yes, for foundation, it's a wonderful material, and for some lintels if needed, but we don't need it for using it for walls, because the money just goes in the wrong pockets. You know, it's not good for the environment. It's not building up social justice, but building with earth would help. Really, I mean, because it's a material that is everywhere available for free, and that needs a lot of manpower, that is available in many parts of the world, you know, that really fosters social justice, and that also gives an answer to the most pressing questions, which is social justice and climate change that we have right now. So using all the wonderful natural building materials that we have locally available, be it bamboo, be it wood, be it, you know, all sorts of straw, be it earth, you know, this is, I think, the future for building in a sustainable way. And when we think, you know, of this famous slogan, form follows what, I wouldn't say, you know, form follows function anymore. That is not enough. There is so many good architecture, or good looking architecture all around. But what we need is a really beautiful architecture, beautiful in the sense of a meaningful architecture. And beauty for me is a formal expression of love. And if we do things out of love towards the others, towards the other people, towards the community, towards the planet, then we also do it sustainably. So for me, the new mantra for building sustainable in future, in the global south and the global north, all around our beautiful planet, is form follows love. Thank you.